The roller coaster that is Tesla stock seems to have completely stalled at around the $200 mark, and now we can't even get back up to that mark, and it actually looks like we're starting the big downtrend now again. But the question I get asked the most, guys, and I mean, it's not even close as the, what question I get asked the most, is how low is Tesla going to go this time around? Heck, I mean, we already saw the 140 come true, and then it got all the way down to 100. I mean, is this next little big leg down, is that going to be all the way down to the 80s? Maybe even the 60s? So let's answer that question today, and I just ask in exchange for you to gently tap that like button and consider subscribing too. It's super easy to do if you like the truth without the hype. And the March Madness sale just went live for the Market Insiders private group. And honestly, guys, these guys in the March Madness tournament, if they're going to turn to the NBA, they need this group so that way they know exactly how to take care of their money. They get to see my buy and sell alerts in real time, my watch list with price targets. They get to take 5 courses for free that include your money, how to handle it, how to take care of it, and investing and real estate investing and everything else. You also got access to live Q&As. We got tons of exclusive videos, several hundred of them in there, and a whole lot more. And there is a secret project coming to the group, but I will not be able to keep the price this low when it goes live. So make sure you lock in your price today where you get that price as long as you stay a member before that price actually goes up forever. Just check it out down there. It's the pinned comment, see everything you get and see if it's right for you. So before we can actually see where Tesla's actually going, let's take a look at everything working against Tesla right now that is working to actually send it lower in the first place. So the first one is, well, honestly, let's be truthful here. You had a 100% run up in the stock price from the beginning of the year, guys. So naturally, it has to come down some. That's just kind of the reality in the stock market. 100% move in just a couple of months is not natural. Not natural. Wow, I don't know what the heck naturable is, but I mean, if anybody knows that, comment down below. But anyways, it's not natural. And that means a pullback absolutely has to come with that. Now, I actually thought whenever it ran up to, 140, 150, 160, hey, they may have pulled back there. Nope, it got all the way up over 200 before it finally had its pullback there. And that's why, thank goodness, I'm not a trader. Would have blown that one, and a lot of other traders blew that one too. So anyways, the point is, when you have a big run up like that of 100+%, you're going to have eventually you're going to have some pressure to push that back downward because that's an unnatural move, guys. Even though I agree Tesla was way undervalued, and I still think it's undervalued. However, that doesn't mean that traders who control the market in the short term, not the long term, in the short term, aren't going to see that as an opportunity to take the price back down. So that's absolutely one of the big forces working against Tesla right now. And number 2, and I know it's going to be a little bit controversial here, guys, so just try to hear me out all the way through the end, then you can go down and blast me if you want. But unfortunately, Investor Day was a flop for most investors. Now, I hear you guys already. I know as a long-term investor, you see the long-term plan. You see how they're continuing to try to innovate, stay ahead, continue to get better, continue to lower costs, continue to do all those sort of things. Those are all great. But regardless of what you want to say, investor days are very specific occasions for very specific things. They're structured a certain way. Everything is very, very, I won't call it the same, but everybody's investor day, although they're a little bit different, they all kind of follow the same structure, the same sort of thing. And of course, Tesla did none of the things that really should be involved in an investor day. And on top of that, I understand that it appealed to a lot of folks who are really, the engineer types and the tech types and such, and that's awesome. But for the vast majority of us who are not those types, it was not nearly as engaging or as enthralling. And those kind of things, they honestly kind of hurt. And I know we can talk about, we don't care about institutional investors. We don't care about traders. And I agree, I don't care about traders either. Call it whatever you like. But when you call it Investor Day, there is an expectation as to what that is, right? It's just like, you're calling yourself, hey, we're going to have our earnings call. And guess what? It better be an actual earnings call where you discuss what happened that prior quarter. And if you want to talk about other stuff, fine. But you better talk about those things there because it's a earnings call. And that's kind of like Investor Day. That's exactly what it is. Battery Day can be whatever the heck it wants to be because that's Tesla's thing. Same thing with AI Day and all the other days that they'll have in the past and that they'll have in the future. But when you have an Investor Day, it's for a very specific reason. And investors and people who are controlling billions of dollars are listening for certain things and wanting certain things out of those. And if you don't give it to them, unfortunately, that's agitating because they're like, hey, we're looking at thousands of companies to invest our money in. Please tell us why we should invest in you, and you need to hit on some certain points in order for them to understand that. I agree, you don't have to cater the whole presentation to them, but you got to do a better job than Tesla did in that regard. I understand some of you guys are going to disagree with me all you want, but as somebody who sat through tons of these and has been investing for over 20-something years, that was an absolute flop from an Investor Day perspective. And if you don't think you need institutional investors in order to push the market cap to 2 trillion, 3 trillion, 5 trillion, all those numbers like that for all those, guys like me, even Tesla bulls who want that number and think Tesla can get there. You absolutely need institutional money to come into that. And so that way, at some point in time, you got to appeal to them because they have other choices. They'll just put their money into Apple. They'll put their money Warren Buffett's fund. They'll do something else other than put the money into Tesla if you don't provide that for them. Right, wrong, indifferent, we can argue back and forth all day long. That's the reality of the situation, and that's why Investor Day was such a flop. And third would be the latest round of price cuts announced last week. Now, in the short term, this hurts the stock. In the long term, it's got the competition scared. I'll say that right now. Tesla's the only company that can continue to cut costs, continue to cut price, and continue to have the margin, I don't know how much they could cut costs before they finally start looking like the other automakers, but they're a long way from that number. So long term, I am not concerned at all. Long term, it obviously puts them in a better spot. Short term, though, it means earnings and the EPS and everything else are going to come in less than what it would have been if they would have left the price the same. And investors are going to see that and traders are going to trade accordingly, which means short-term pressure on the stock. Now, while I agree, long term, it's great. It doesn't matter. But in this short term, and that's exactly what we're talking about here is, hey, where's Tesla going next right now? I can't lie and sit there and say, hey, these price cuts hurt in the short term. Again, long term, agree with you guys 100%. Short term, it's going to hurt the numbers. It's going to make earnings harder to hit those numbers and such. And so it makes the battle a little bit more difficult, and it's working against the stock price right now today. Again, long term, no issues, don't care. I actually think it rattles the competition far more than it rattles Tesla and anybody else, and us long-term investors. But short term, it definitely is going to put some downward pressure on the stock. So with all this, it clearly points to a short-term decline in the stock price. But the question is, how low will it actually go? Well, here's the honest answer. Don't hate on me, guys. Don't yell at me. But here's the honest answer. And that answer is nobody freaking knows. Nobody knows what it is. But, whoa, before blasting me down there, I know. Let me give you my complete plan for Tesla, where I'm going to start buying and some things like that to kind of smooth this edge a little bit. But you guys want the truth. You guys come here for the truth. And that's absolutely the truth. Nobody knows where it's freaking going, guys. I mean, think about it. Everybody throws up these charts and shows, hey, right here, here's where support is. Here's where that, well, guess what? There was support at, 300, 320, 250, 235, 222, whatever, all the way down to 100. I could point to a chart, draw a line, and show you exactly where Tesla most likely is going, and then it's going to bounce up and rocket to the moon. And that's what everybody did over and over and over and over again. Now, I agree, technical analysis has some truth to it, especially for traders. And sometimes those are, resistance and support lines in regards to the stock price. But in regards to it accurately predicting where the stock is going next, they're never right. It just isn't. Nobody had it going down to where it was going. Otherwise, that support line would have held. It's just a best guess, based upon the data and what's there. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're trying to make a best guess on where Tesla's going. And it's just a guess, guys. Is it going to stop at the closest support? Is it going to break down 2 or 3 levels of support where it stops? The reality is nobody knows that answer. If we all did, there would be trillionaire investors out there, but there just isn't. They don't exist. So, basically that tells me there's no point in trying to figure out where that number is. And here's another fact for you guys. My job as a long-term buy and hold investor, not a trader, don't care. You can go talk to traders all day long, follow a trading channel if you want tips on that. My job as a long-term buy and hold investor is not to guess where a stock is going in the short term. My job is to do a proper valuation, have a plan to buy that stock, understand when it's undervalued and I'm getting an undervalued asset at a great price, a great business for the long term, and then to execute those buys. And if Wall Street continues to get dumb, continue to DCA my way down into a lower and lower price. That's it. That's my job. And then hold it. Not follow the noise and not write it up and write it down and freak out and go to the moon and go into margin whenever it's at all-time highs and then, where it's dipping down, sell all out, wait for it to go lower and try to jump back in. It's not my job. Not my job at all. My job is to identify when it's undervalued and then make sure I execute my plan to buy the amount of shares that I want to own of that stock so that a way when it inevitably performs the way I think it's going to perform over the long run, I have the appropriate amount of shares that I bought at the appropriate price with all of the other games and all the other noise and all the other stuff that statistically is proven doesn't work. They don't outperform long-term buy and hold investors. That's the truth of the matter. Argue with me down in the comments all you want to. Cool. I understand everybody's going to think differently and such. I understand. But as a long-term buy and hold investor, that's exactly what my job is to do exactly what I just described. Not try to guess how low Tesla's going to go. My job is to buy it as it's going down into undervalued territory and buy as much of it as I can. So that way, whenever it has its run and it just gets back to fair value, I'm sitting on a very nice gain in those shares that I bought. So for me, in my situation, I have all the shares I want, guys. I filled out my position actually a few years ago. However, I am now into bonus shares, and I add bonus shares of great stocks that continue to perform over the long term. I've been adding to Apple, despite the fact it's a disproportionate part of my portfolio. I shouldn't add anymore, but every time it hits undervalued, I'm gonna buy that stock because it's a great stock, great company, great everything. Same with Google, same with Amazon, same with Tesla here, and a bunch of other stocks like that. But I don't need to, fill out my position there. So I have no interest in just paying fair value or, a little bit below value and such. I want super discounted shares before I add more because I honestly don't need any more. And that's my situation only. This is why I say everybody has to create their own plan, do their own valuation, and understand that my price target may not be the right price target for you, because if it doesn't hit my target, I'm okay. I have all the shares that I want. I'm not gonna feel like I missed it. If, in this case right here, when Tesla starts getting around 150 or so, I'll probably start buying it again. But if it gets down to 155 and then it rockets back up to 200 and I didn't get to buy any, I'm not going to be like, oh, I missed it. Oh, way to go. No, I have all the shares that I want. That's why my situation is different. That's why following YouTubers is so dangerous, and following the news media and this person on Twitter and this person on Facebook and this person on, whatever, on TV. It doesn't matter. It's dangerous because you don't know their plan. You don't know their situation. You don't know their risk tolerance. Is that person trading Tesla? What are they doing with it? In my situation, I have more Tesla than I want. I'm almost overexposed. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to buy the discount if you're going to give me a great stock at a great price. But for me, that's the price I'm willing to pay. And if I don't get that price and it rockets back up and I don't get to buy it for a few quarters, maybe in a few years in some cases, I'm okay with that. That happens. That's happened to me in the past. It will happen to me in the future. That's part of the journey as a long-term buy and hold investor. So I understand that piece, and it doesn't bother me any. That's why you've got to do what's right for you. If it's going to bother you, if you put it right at mine, right there in the 150 range, and then it gets down to 158 and then it rocks back up and you missed it, and that's going to really bother you, then if I were you, I would have a different strategy. Think about just DCAing from here, every other week. We have lots of group members. That's exactly what they do. They just DCA every week into Tesla, buy a few shares of Tesla every week on the same day, same time. They just buy it. That's it. Other members do that same sort of thing or something similar. Then they have a little bonus pull there for whenever it really pulls back. Then they pull from that bonus pull and buy a few more shares. Either way, it doesn't matter when you're just executing your plan based upon your valuation and, basically looking at it as, hey, it's hard to beat a DCA, guys. Execute that DCA, execute that modified DCA like I do. It doesn't matter. The point is put in that work, put those things there, and stop trying to play the games of, I think Tesla stock's going to go here, and this is where I think it's going to go. And let me watch this person and see what their opinion is on how low Tesla's going to go and all that sort of stuff. It's silliness. I don't need to hit the bottom. Nobody hits the bottom. Warren Buffett doesn't ever hit the bottom usually, I've never hit the bottom on any stock. Doesn't mean I haven't made, bukus of money on stocks over the long run, but I've never hit the bottom on any of them. It doesn't matter. You don't have to hit the bottom in order to make great investments that perform very, very well over time and make you a lot of money. So if you want to see all my buy and sell alerts, my watch list with price targets, basically, take 5 courses for free on exactly how to take care of your money and then implement the system that I use in order to buy stocks, and a whole host of, I got hundreds of videos on there, tutorials, stuff like that, and have access to our Discord group full of 6 and 7 figure investors, and have access to that super secret something that's coming at a little bit of a discounted price. Make sure you check out the pinned comment down there and see everything that you get and see if it's right for you. And click this video here to see the 3 stocks that I'm buying now, and click here to see exactly my plan for this market now. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.